Life by Divine with Sue Dumais fosters deep healing and profound awakenings as she guides you to hear, answer, and trust the highest calling of your heart. Your host and sacred guide is global impact visionary leader Sue Dumais, a best-selling author, international speaker, and gifted intuitive healer who challenges all of us to shift from life by default or even life by design to truly living life by divine. And now, here is Sue Dumais.
Welcome to the show. It is an honor to be here and to share my heart and sprinkle your life with insights and guidance that shift your energy from fear into love and to remove all blocks to love. That's my intention, to bring in some energy that can support you, especially this time of year. So, Happy New Year. Welcome to the show, and I'm excited to be here with you. It's such a powerful day to create shifts, to create change, to make a fresh start. There's a lot of, we can do this in any moment, but there's a lot of opportunity on January 1st. And it's an honor to be here with you. Today I'm going to share the 5 sites that will allow you to make a fresh start in the new year. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about a process that I do at the end of each year, at the end of each fiscal year, in order to complete with 2018 and move into 2019, again with a fresh start, kind of a renewed energy and the energy of celebration and anticipation for all the gifts that 2019 will hold for you and for your life. So I'm going to share a couple different messages today, but we're going to begin with talking about the 5 sites. Now, I've taught this for a long time. It feels like I can go back at least a decade, maybe even longer, because my son is 15 and I was teaching it before my son, like early on when my son was born or just after he was born. The 5 sites are a tool that I use that it's evolved a little bit. The 5th site, it was 4 sites for the longest time, and then the 5th one came in and it was a previous one. Now I just got a new one that came in. So it changes and evolves with what I'm doing in my life. It changes and evolves with what I'm teaching and extending in the world. And it changes and evolves with the level or the concepts that I'm trying on and playing with personally as well as professionally. So today I'm going to, even if you've heard part of this message before, if you've been following me for a while, I'm going to invite you to imagine you have a beginner mindset around it. Imagine you haven't heard it before, and I want you to listen as if you were a student, a fresh new student, a kindergarten student, coming into it with no previous preconception of the 5 sites. When we can listen with that open mind and a curious mind, we actually can bring down some of the filters in the mind, which I'm going to talk about as we go through the 5 sites. So the invitation is to be wide open to anything, be curious, be attached to nothing, and just see where this all lands for you today. It's a beautiful day to align with clear intentions moving forward into this new year. And it's also a beautiful day to complete and move on from all the things that have happened in the days that came before this moment, and the moments that came before this one right here, right now. So I'm going to talk a little bit in the way of the content, in the way of the past and the future, just a little bit, just for we can create an understanding in the mind to accept this teaching, accept this idea, these ideas. And then we're going to recognize that really the only thing that exists is this present moment. And as we've just coming out of the holiday season, I talk a lot about the present moment is a gift. It's a present. That's why they call it a present moment. And as we become fully present to what is, as we live as deeply present as we possibly can, we can live our life as if every moment is a gift. And we can open it with great anticipation for the miracles and the gifts and the insights and the lessons that it holds for us. This present moment, right here, right now, is all that exists. Every moment that has passed is no longer in existence. And every moment that will come will become the present moment. When we look at this present moment right here now and see it as a gift, we open up our minds to receive all that this present moment holds for us, all the potential, all the miracles, all the gifts. Now, the way we do that, the way we become more present, is understanding how we actually process life, how we process everything in our life classroom. So as I go through the 5 sights, I'm going to invite you to take what resonates, leave the rest behind. Trust if it's meant to come back in, it will. You'll listen back and you'll get something else, or you'll find it somewhere else. It'll come through in some other messaging. Just trust that what you're going to receive today is exactly what you need. It's not always what we want, but I promise it's always what we need. So take what resonates, leave the rest behind. So let's dive in. The 5 sights, the first one I'm going to talk about is eyesight. Obviously, it's a clear one. Your eyesight is what you see when you open your eyes and look around. When you look around the room right now, as I'm talking, as you're listening, just notice what your eyes land upon. Each time your eyes land upon something, there's a process that goes on in your mind. There's an interpretation, there's a meaning, there's a judgment, there's an observation, there's something that goes on in the mind. That's the default setting. That's what we're programmed to do, is to see something with our physical eyes and then interpret it, judge it, observe it, place meaning on it, something in the mind, the level of the mind. So my challenge to you right now is just to look around the room and see if you can look at something and feel totally, completely neutral. See if you can look at something and not have any thought about it. For most people, that's nearly impossible. And then if we're in that mindful state of observation, then we can be open to exploring something without judgment. The challenge is we're programmed to judge. We're born observers, natural observers. We're born that way, but we're programmed to judge. And the mind loves to take on that task and that role of judging. So our eyesight is what we see when we look around in the world and when our eyes, our physical eyes, land upon something. Mind sight is the filter that everything we see gets moved through. Everything is filtered through the mind. And if we have a preconceived notion about something, if we have a judgment about something, if we have an idea or a belief about something, everything we see gets filtered through the mind sight. Depending on the filter in your mind, that will actually influence your experience of what you're looking at. So let's say, for example, if you're used to filtering everything through the lens of fear, then everything you experience in life, everything you see, will be filtered through that lens of fear, and you will have more experiences of fear. If you make a conscious choice to filter things through the lens of love, your experience of everything you see will change. It's like having the same thing with the eyes. If you place sunglasses on your eyes, and they're a certain shade, certain color, they kind of change the experience. And when you look around, it may maybe make different colors pop in the world, or create different experiences depending on the shade of the sunglasses. And then you switch glasses and you switch to a different shade, one that has more blue or red or orange in it. The landscape will change. The experience and the colors of everything around you will change. So in every moment, we can witness with our physical eyes something that's happening, and then we have an interpretation of it or judgment of it in the head, in the mind. And those two things, if they're both filtered with fear, then our experience of fear will expand. We'll have more fear-based experiences in life. If we make a conscious choice to shift our programming, because we're programmed for fear, and we set an intention to allow the filter to be more one of love, so we can ask, Spirit, show me this perspective, or show me this situation through the lens of love. I'm willing to see another perspective. Then we can open the mind to witness it through the lens of love instead of fear. So with your eyesight and mindsight, we're programmed to look through fear, look through the lens and the filter of fear. And we have a conscious choice. We have the ability to make a choice, to go within and choose again, anytime we remember to see through the lens of love. Now, I do this a lot, especially right now when we look around what's going on in the world, the chaos, the perceived chaos, the stuff that's rising up to the surface, the things that are getting uncovered. There's a lot of violence, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of people lashing out. Some people are being what you would call mean. And even like I said, violence. A lot of what's happening is the darkness and the things that have been hidden for so long are coming up to the surface to be healed. So everything's coming into the light. That's the good news. The challenging news is that witnessing all of those things is really hard to navigate, especially when we look through the filter of fear. So my prayer is always, show me this through the lens of love. Help me understand or help me see another perspective, because the perspective I'm holding on a human level is painful or interfering with my peace or causing me harm or causing others harm. So I always ask to be shown another perspective. And it's interesting because I get a lot of different visions, and I often will see things differently than what the interpretation of the world is. And that gives me the gift of foresight. And that's one of the sights. The gift of foresight is the ability to anticipate kind of the future, or anticipate or receive a vision of what's to come based on what's happening now. So for me, I often get more visions that kind of create more of a bigger picture vision, a bigger understanding of what's happening and how things are playing out and why things are playing out the way they are. So in those bigger visions I get, this foresight, it allows me to actually, one, find peace within myself and look at everything from a different perspective, knowing that it's actually playing out purposefully, even though it may be challenging to watch or hard to kind of navigate, it's still playing out purposefully. And it's actually playing into a bigger vision. And I've talked about this before in the work around racism and white privilege and stuff in previous episodes. My understanding now of the big picture of it has allowed me to actually accept how it's playing out and accept my part in it as a white spiritual woman, and be able to share that message from that place without my own leftovers, without my own guilt, without my own stuff getting in the way. I still clear that. If it comes up, I still work on that. I'm not saying I'm beyond all of that, but I'm able to have a bigger picture understanding. So I've received foresight that allows me to have the vision and understand that there's something bigger playing out here for all of us, for all of humanity. So on a surface level, it initially looks like separation, little pockets of separation, but they're actually pockets of unification. So again, just a shift in perspective. Changing my mindset, changing the way I'm seeing things, and then the gift of foresight has allowed me to recognize that what seems to be separating us is actually unifying pockets of individuals, and they're standing up, standing out, standing strong together. And then globally, on a grand scale, eventually we'll all be under one beautiful umbrella of unification. But initially, these groups need to come together and unify in their own strength and courage, heal their own wounds, and as that happens, it actually ignites the wound to come to the surface in another group. That's the beauty of it. So having that gift of foresight and that vision has allowed me to not only give myself peace, but give other people peace when we look at kind of what's happening in the world. On a surface level, it looks like separation. When we do a bird's eye view, when I get that vision, I see these pockets of unification. Now the foresight comes in, is what it's leading to, is the unification of all of us, all of humanity. And it's going to look messy for a while because our wounds are messy, because the things we've been hiding for a long time and keeping at bay are messy, and they're hard topics, and they're challenging things to face and challenging things to bring up and talk with each other about, because as one person talks, another is triggered. The same thing with the Me Too campaign, women coming out and sharing what's happened and what's been happening for a long time with them is triggering a lot of guilt in men, whether they were personally involved in some form of assault or inappropriate language or inappropriate behavior. It doesn't matter. The guilt is going to come up as a collective human nature. So a collective male guilt is coming up, and the collective wounds for the women and the feminine is coming up, and one triggers the other. Now, as this is all coming into the light, it's beautiful because it's all being cleared and healed. So that's eyesight, mindsight, foresight. Not everybody gets the gift of foresight, and it's something that's come in for me. The more I clear my channel and the more I align with my intuitive gifts, the more I get foresight. And sometimes there's visions I don't really like to talk about. And sometimes there's visions I prefer not to see myself. But at the same time, I know that they're being given to me for a reason. So I take responsibility for those visions, and I'm willing to navigate my way through my own blocks around sharing, or my own stuff that's washing up around them, and then saying yes to being the messenger should I be the one to extend some of those visions to help people create an understanding. And in creating an understanding, we can create more of a sense of peace and purpose and understanding for people to be able to play their parts and play their roles. So that brings us to insight. Insight is different than foresight. Foresight's kind of like intuition or guidance toward the future, or an event that's kind of being shown why things are kind of playing out the way they are, and the purpose behind that. Insight is the guidance we receive in the moment. That's the guidance we get in each moment as we're here, listening to our heart, tuning into the divine within us, letting Spirit lead us and guide us, letting the teacher of love be our internal guide. Insight comes in the way of, we can call it intuition, you can call it gut instinct, you can call it, a deep knowing, innate knowing. There's lots of different ways we can name insight or intuition. And insight is our ability to follow and feel and sense and know guidance. It's a knowing that goes beyond the mind. Insight is different than mindsight because insight doesn't have the same filter. Insight comes from our spirit, our soul, God, source, the universe, the divine. This is living life by divine. When we live life by divine, we receive these insights, we receive this guidance, we receive this knowing that goes beyond our physical minds. It goes beyond the limitations in our mind. It goes well beyond the fear in the mind. It's not filtered at all through the mind. It's a deep knowing that we experience when we are practicing but listening to our heart, leading with our heart, leading with the divine, letting the divine, bring forth all of the guidance and the directions in our life. That's insight. The more we open up the channel, our intuitive channel, the greater the insights we're going to get, the more clear the insights we're going to get, the more clear the directions that will come from our internal GPS. So our internal GPS is our intuition. We all have it. Some of us have more of an intuitive gift in the way of extension work than others, but we all have the ability to lead with our heart. We all have the ability to hear with our inner ear and receive that insight, that intuition, that guidance that comes from our heart. So the heart is the bridge. We've talked about this in previous episodes, but let me remind everybody, in case you're new to me as well, the heart is our bridge to the divine, to God, to Source, to the universe. And the universe, or the divine, is working on behalf of everyone and orchestrating a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful play classroom for everyone, so that we can heal on a human level and learn to embrace our humanness and embody our divinity at the same time. So the call is to wake up and realize that we're not just these human beings walking around. We're actually these beautiful divine beings having this human experience. And it's essential that we have the human experience, otherwise we wouldn't be here. It's both embracing your humanness and embodying your divinity. And the way we do that is to let the heart lead the way. We lead with insight, with intuition. When we let our heart be in the driver's seat and we let our mind take the passenger seat, we remove the filter that we make decisions from. We can make kind of clear, guided decisions from the heart, and they're not filtered through the limitations of the mind. So we're taught to analyze and think about things, but intuitively we're born intuitive beings. There's a whole episode on intuition that I talked about just in the last couple of weeks. You can listen back to that one. It's called Intuition is Not What You Think. So for now, I want you to understand that there's different sights, ways that we can experience the world, experience our life classroom. And how we experience, how we choose to experience our classroom will determine our experience of it. It will determine whether we are reacting, which is more through mindsight, or responding. Our ability to respond is more insight. And when we have an understanding at the level of the mind, that's the foresight. When we have an understanding at the level of the mind to choose love, that allows us to really trust and be guided by the divine, to live life by divine, to allow that beautiful force to work through us, to animate our bodies, to give us the words, to allow the message to come through. The same way I open my mouth and allow this channeled message to come through for all of you. The same way I open up and allow the channeled energy to work in the background while you're listening, and you receive a healing. My channel has become crystal clear. My ability to let the insight lead, to let my intuition be the driving force of everything I do, to let my heart and let the divine work through me as me, that's what allows me to be in that space of living oneness. That's why I can speak and the message resonates really deeply in the heart with a lot of people. It's like I'm speaking directly to you, speaking directly to them. And I am. That's the truth. It's the divine speaking through me to you. And here's the message you need to hear today. As you allow your intuitive channel to open, you create an opening to have an impact on other people's lives in a greater way. Remember that everything that comes through as the divine through us is serving everyone, everywhere, all together, all at once. When we allow the gift of insight to be how we lead our lives and how we make every decision and how we navigate our way and flow through life, we will be able to meet life's challenges with a beautiful sense of calm and peace, and knowing that we can respond from a place of love instead of reacting from a place of fear. Now, in those moments that we do react, we can actually use the fifth sight, which is hindsight. In those moments where we do react in fear, where we do have that trigger, that feeling of uncontrolled trigger, we can actually use hindsight to look back and go, okay, that's why that happened. I understand I was still upset about something else or something that happened in the past. We can use hindsight to look back and make sense of something. We can make sense of our behavior. We can make sense of our reaction. We can make sense of other people's reactions or behaviors. We can actually look back and see the big picture. So we don't always have foresight. Not everybody has foresight, but everybody has hindsight. We can always look back and see and understand and be open to understanding why things happened as they did. Hindsight is a beautiful gift. We don't want to dwell in the past, but it is helpful to look back and have that understanding of why things happened as they did. So maybe you see a series of synchronicities that allowed you to meet a certain person that changed your life. Perhaps you can look back and see how getting fired from a job actually led to the job of your dreams, or having, a really challenging relationship kind of fall apart allowed you to really stand solid in a new relationship in a new way and open your heart in a different way. So hindsight is a really good tool to help us look back and see our life and situations and how things have played out and find meaning. And when we find meaning, a lot of times we find peace. Now, what I love to do is teach people to use present moment hindsight. Present moment hindsight is an opening in the mind to find meaning in the moment, as things are happening, as things are unfolding as they are in this moment. So if something challenging is on your path or something challenging is happening to you, present moment hindsight is an opening in the mind to be open to the lesson. What is the universe trying to point to? What do you need to heal? What is this situation bringing forth for you? There's an opportunity to find meaning in the moment. And in finding meaning, we can kind of settle in and accept what's happening. We can accept what's happening and what's on our path versus resist it. So present moment hindsight allows us to make peace with what is and stop resisting what is. We don't always get present moment hindsight. We don't always see what it's for or what it's about or what the lesson is. But our ability to open the mind and remain curious removes the level and the programming around judgment that we normally hold. So to let go of judgment and remain curious and open allows us to find meaning in the present moment sometimes. Now, where it gets tricksy is we have to watch that the ego doesn't latch on to needing to know why everything is happening as it is. I talk about this in many of my books, in Heart-Led Living, in my book, The 10 Principles That Shift Consciousness from Head to Heart. I talk about not asking why, but asking what. What is this teaching me? What do I have to learn from this? Asking the what questions versus why, because why really pulls you into that victim mentality, and the ego loves when we're in that victim mentality. When we're practicing present moment hindsight, we ask what? I'm open to what this lesson or this situation is teaching me. I'm open to using my life as a classroom and noticing and observing that everything that's happening is purposeful, even if it doesn't make sense in the moment. And then we can go into hindsight as opposed to present moment hindsight, looking back at how things have played out to make sense of them if we need to. So I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to take a quick break. And then what I want to do is I'm going to go over the 5 sights again, just really briefly, kind of bringing them all together. And then I want to share with you an exercise that you can do today on January 1st to look back at 2018 and allow you to not just mentally, but emotionally, spiritually, energetically, and physically on every level to complete with 2018 and move into 2019 feeling like you're making a fresh start. So these tools will actually help you moving forward, and this exercise that I'm going to share with you after the break will allow you to complete with 2018 and move into 2019 with a beautiful fresh new start and a new lens and perspective moving into the new year. We'll be right back.
Imagine a one-of-a-kind sacred transformational experience that is infused with high vibrational healing energy and personalized guidance and insight. Receive a one-on-one live private intuitive healing experience with Sue as she follows her guidance and delivers exactly what you need in the moment, leaving a lasting imprint. During this private healing experience, Sue draws on a multitude of gifts, skills, channeled healing, coaching, and mind-body-soul insights, a divinely downloaded transmission specifically for you. Whether you have questions about your health, relationships, career, or wish to receive a message from a loved one who passed, or you need a soul retrieval, or support clearing a block or a blind spot, this one-on-one private intuitive healing experience with Sue will transform you. To learn more and to book a divine appointment with Sue, visit heartledliving.com/intuitive healing.
Welcome back. You're listening to Life by Divine, and I am your host, Sue Dumais. I've been talking today about the 5 sights that will allow you to move into the new year with a fresh start. And we were talking about the idea of eyesight. This is the physical sight we see with the eyes. This is our interpretation of the world. When our eyes land on something, we process what we see with our physical eyes in the mind, and we have a preconceived notion usually about what something is. And kids don't, a newborn, babies can look at the world and they'll look around and they see everything fresh and new. They don't know what a chair is. They've never seen a ball until they've seen it for the first time. And even then, one ball may look totally different than the other ball because it's a different size or different color. So they don't necessarily know that a ball is a ball. So they're looking at life so fresh and like everything is new, everything is unknown to them. What if we all decided that we would have a beginner mindset? What if we all decided that we would be the student first? I always teach my members and my clients, even though I'm a teacher, even though I'm a healer, even though I extend messages and I'm a messenger, I'm always a student first. And in my book, Stand Up, Stand Out, Stand Strong, there's a whole chapter on I know nothing about anything. Because if I think I know, then my mind's already closed around that. So I do my best to keep my mind wide open. And in doing that, I need to embrace the idea that I don't know what I think I know. And that's mindsight. So there's eyesight, mindsight. Mindsight is the filter you look through and interpret the world through. And usually for most people, because it's programmed in fear, it's a fear-based filter. So the more we look at the world through the lens of fear, the more fear we will experience and the more fear we will witness. If we start to shift and change that filter, put on a different pair of glasses, be willing to try on a different perspective and let the filter be love, then our experience of the world will change. If we have an experience of love and compassion and we can see others through the lens of love and compassion, then we will have a different experience. Love will expand within our lives. And I've seen it over and over again when I've helped people change their perspective on a situation. And I feel their energy and their body soften when we try on a different lens. It's a powerful exercise. It sounds really simple. It's not always easy, but it's really powerful. It shifts a lot when you're willing to look at another perspective. So let's take a look at the rest of the 5 sites, and we'll dive into another tool that I'm going to share that's going to help you complete with 2018 and move into 2019, feeling like you're making a fresh start on every level, including energetically and spiritually and emotionally. As we look at the other sites, we got Foresight, which is our ability to foresee a future event or foresee the needs of something in the future. I often get foresight in the way of visions, and foresight helps me understand what's happening in the present moment with insight and kind of showing me a foresight of why it's playing out that way, and allow me to have some sense of peace and understanding in order to teach what's happening and help other people see it in a different perspective. And then we have the gift of insight. So that's our intuition. When we actually allow intuition to come through us, it doesn't need to be filtered through the mind, although it often is if we allow it. If we let the heart take the driver's seat and the mind take the passenger seat, the way it's actually designed, the mind is a powerful tool. It's meant to follow the directions of the heart. It's not meant to be the leader. It's not meant to be in charge. In fact, the ego loves when the mind is in charge, because it's the mind's domain is the ego is the mind's domain. It loves to be up there, taking charge and telling you what to do, what you should do, and what you shouldn't do. And it's all fear-based programming. So when we let insight lead, when we let our heart lead, and the mind follows the directions of the heart, there's a lot more peace. There's miracles that come from that. And at the same time, we're actually then operating on behalf of everyone, everywhere, all together, all at once. Because the guidance that comes through our heart is from the divine, which is for everyone. It's orchestrating everything. It's got all these amazing, beautiful parts playing out all together for everyone, in service to all of us, including you. And then there's hindsight. We talked about hindsight as well as present moment hindsight. So looking back at the past and making sense of something and seeing why things played out the way they did to help you find peace in the moment, and then present moment hindsight, being open to finding meaning in the present moment as things are unfolding in front of you. A little more challenging sometimes, especially if you're in the place of feeling triggered or having kind of an emotional charge around something. But that's something that an intuitive coach or someone else can help you see. Sometimes we can't see the picture when we're in the frame ourselves. So having someone look from the outside in and giving you a different perspective is a lot of times very helpful and can bring you peace. Now, moving forward from here, where do we go? How do we complete with 2018? I learned this tool from Dr. Christiane Northrup. She was a mentor of mine, still is in some ways, but I worked with her more closely for quite a while and learned a lot from her. And the one thing that I really took from her time around the New Year's was this exercise, and it's kind of evolved and shifted and changed, and I kind of gathered different elements of it from different people, but she introduced me in the beginning with it, and it really resonated. It really made sense because I never really did that. I would always kind of go through the year and then jump into the new year and not actually look back and take a moment to acknowledge or even celebrate all of the accomplishments I had. So that's the first step, is just to stop and take a moment to look at all the things that you've accomplished, everything that shifted, everything that changed, everything that you achieved in 2018 and going back and actually even making a list. And Dr. Northrup talks about going back through your day timer or your calendar and actually like being very thorough about it. As you do that, what you're doing is activating the energy of celebration and the energy of honoring all that you've been through and all that you've had come through in the last year. And what it allows you to do is energetically complete with the 2018 year and move into 2019 with the energy of celebration and honoring and expansion. So a lot of times what will happen energetically is we have these big breakthroughs, these big things. We don't celebrate, we don't practice gratitude because we're on to the next thing. And then we kind of drag everything with us into the new year. We drag everything in with us into the present moment and kind of carry it like a big anchor. So what this exercise allows you to do is get into the energy of celebration, but also to let go and release all of those things energetically in the energy of gratitude. So write a list of all the things you've accomplished in 2018 and be thorough. Go through everything and take a moment each time you write something down, or you can do this at the end and kind of go through it at the end, but take a moment to really pause and breathe and allow the gratitude, the warmth of gratitude to come into your heart. Now focus on all the things that felt good, expansive, positive, all the scrumptious things that have happened. You don't be listing all the negative things, because that's the tendency of that's that mindset. If you're going through a filter of negativity, you're going to look back and go, well, I didn't do that, I didn't do that, I didn't do that. I don't want to hear what you didn't do. I don't want to hear what didn't work out. Or if something didn't work out, what did you learn from it? Use that hindsight exercise. What did I learn from that experience? I learned that I'm stronger than I realized. I learned that I have more courage than I thought. I realized that I have a lot of people around me that will support me. Whatever it is that happened, if it was negative, find the silver lining, find the gem, find the learning, find the lesson, find the gift that came from it. Because there's a gift in all of it. So write down everything, the lessons, the positive things, the insights, the wisdom, the relationships, everything that's worthy of celebration and worthy of your gratitude. And then you can light a candle as a symbol of lighting the way for your path in this moment. And take a moment with each of those things and really honor each one. Even if it's just a glimpse and a feeling of gratitude expanding in your heart, take the time. It's all well deserved. And what you're doing is showing the universe and thanking the universe and thanking the divine for all the beautiful synchronicities, for all the miracles that came on your path. And what you're doing is aligning with the energy of miracles, the energy of celebration, the energy of gratitude. And that's all love-based energy, and all of that raises your vibration. So most people will look back at the list that they had in 2018 and look at all the things that are still on that list that they didn't do. And then they carry that list into 2019, feeling maybe a little bit of guilt or like I didn't do enough or whatever it is. That's kind of what a lot of people would do. I so don't want you to do that. I'm going to invite you just to focus on what happened, what changed, what shifted, what you accomplished, the miracles that were on your path. Celebrate each one and really bring the feeling of celebration. It's not just in your head thinking about it, celebrating. I want you to feel it in your body. I want you to feel it in your heart. Bring the emotion of celebration. Bring the emotion of gratitude into your heart. Let it warm you. Let it expand inside of you. That's going to raise your vibrational frequency. When you raise your vibrational frequency to one of celebration and miracles, then the universe meets you with more things to celebrate and more miracles. It's a beautiful, beautiful process. And that's going to allow you to complete with 2018 and move into 2019 feeling more purpose, meaning, and intention moving forward, celebrating the energy and open to the energy of more miracles. So in 2019, you can expect miracles. Once you do that exercise, then the invitation is to tune into your heart, take some deep breaths, 10 deep breaths if you can, with your eyes closed. And as you tune into your heart, ask, what is my intention for 2019? Now, don't go in your head and think about what your intention is. Drop down into your heart space, and we can even do it right now. So take some deep breaths. Close your eyes, and imagine taking an elevator from your mind down, down, down into your heart. As you're down into your heart space, imagine stepping out of the elevator and standing in this beautiful heart space with this beautiful energy of celebration and miracles and potential. And ask the divine, ask Spirit, what is my intention for 2019? Go with the first word or words that pop into your mind. What is my intention for 2019? And then take that intention and write it down. And set another intention to align with those words. Invite the feeling and the experience of those words. Not just, don't put them in your head. I want you to invite the feeling. What would it feel like to have that intention? So the word I got was love and light, and lantern was an interesting word for me. So I'm going to play with those 3 this year. Last year my words were expansion, evolution, and extraordinary abundance. Those were my 3 words last year. And this year it's love, light, and lantern. So I'm really curious about lantern. It kind of makes sense because in Turks and Caicos we're building a healing sanctuary. And in the 3rd phase we're building on the 2nd property. I actually see a house with a lighthouse attached to it. And having the 360-degree view at the top where you can actually see the ocean all the way around. And it kind of reminds me of that, like having a lantern going up into a lighthouse. So I'm curious about the lantern. I'm going to stay open and not kind of make my own conclusion about it. But when I heard that word, that came into my awareness, that idea of having the lighthouse in our healing retreat sanctuary in Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean. So take the words, write them down, and then imagine what it would feel like. I wonder what it would feel like to live my life, and fill in the blank with those words. To live my life with blank, 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 whatever the words are. 1 or 2 words, 3 words, doesn't matter. So for me, I wonder what it would feel like to live with love, with light, and with a lantern. I'm open to the meaning. I'm curious. I'm willing. And then allow that to come. And then what I was just seeing, what I was just given when I asked that, because I'm asking it for you and for me, the vision I just received was having the lantern and lighting the path for others. And I've been doing that for a long time, but I feel like this year there's a stepping up. I'm actually meant to stand up, stand out, stand strong on a different level. So there's a leveling up coming up for me. I feel that. That's your process. That's going to help you move into 2019 with a fresh start and feel renewed and raise your vibration to align with what you're meant to be doing this year, the role that you're meant to play in your life and the lives of others. If you need support doing that, I have a couple things coming up. There's a free 30-day challenge coming up. You can find it on my website, heartledliving.com/challenge. It's a 30-day challenge to stand up, stand out, stand strong. And the challenge is how to navigate life when the shift hits the fan. It's based on my book. If you have a copy of my book, you can read day 1 to day 30. We're going to go through each of the chapters. Each chapter has a theme. And I'm going to share quote images on social media, so you can find us on Heart Yes Movement on Facebook and join us there. Join in the discussion and the miracles that come from taking the 30-day challenge. Anybody can join. I would encourage you to do that. And let's make this year, your year, 2019 is your year to stand up, stand out, stand strong. And it's specific to what you're meant to do in the way that you're meant to do it, and to remove all the blocks and all of the judgments so that you can actually really truly embody your divinity as you embrace your humanness and play the role that you're meant to play in the world. So come join me for the 30-day challenge. Come find me on Facebook at the Heart Yes Movement in the group, and on the website, heartledliving.com/challenge, and you can join our free challenge there. We're beginning January 1st, which is today, so feel free to jump in anytime. You can join anytime, and let's do this. You can follow along in the book if you have the book. If not, that's okay. You can get the ebook from Amazon. You can buy the book. Whatever you want to do, you don't have to have the book to follow along. It is nice if you do, but you don't have to have it. So anybody's welcome. The other thing we have coming up in January, starting very soon and in the next couple of weeks, is the Intuition Academy. And the Intuition Academy is about helping you go through an experience of unschooling. It's an unschooling experience designed to unwind, to clear and align your intuitive channel, to bring you to a place where you deeply trust your intuition and you can walk with blind faith, knowing that the guidance that's coming through you is clear and from your heart, not your head. Now, the ego loves to infiltrate its way in there. In my new book, The Evolution of the Ego, which is coming soon, will help you understand just how clever a shape shifter the ego is, and how clever it is disguising itself as love, disguising itself as a spiritual ego. It's got really amazing, crazy tactics, and I've witnessed it after studying it for the last 10 years. A lot of what I teach in the Intuition Academy is designed to help you unwind from the ego and really get in behind and see the inner workings and the subtleness and the hiddenness and the cleverness, and we expose it all. So it's an intense program, but it's powerful, and it will completely change your life and completely change how you view life. Those that have gone through the program, it's been an intuition coaching program for a long time. We've changed it so anybody can take it. There's 3 different ways to participate, 3 options to participate: a self-study with mentoring for 7 months, or you can do the 11-month intuition coaching certification and learn what you learn, you then extend to others. So there's different ways that you can participate, but there's lots of support there, and I would encourage you to check that out. You can find more information about that at heartledliving.com/Intuition Academy. So today, to review, to recap, the 5 sights: eyesight, mindsight, insight, foresight, and hindsight. Make sure you do the exercise to complete with 2018 and move into 2019 feeling ready and open and curious and ready to unwrap every present moment with a great anticipation for what it holds for you and the miracles that it holds for you and for all of humanity. As you move forward into this year, I will be in your ear every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Come and listen live if you feel inspired, or you could go to the podcast platforms and subscribe so that you get notice each time that there's a new episode downloaded. And I would love to continue to sprinkle your life with loving insight and maybe even some foresight. I might share some more of my visions of what's to come in the future. I do feel like we have some interesting conversations coming in this new year that will kind of rock your world and kind of shake up the mind and break some preconceived notions up in the mind and kind of rattle some foundations, because the foundations we've been standing on are no longer working and they need to be rattled. So as we move forward into the new year, I'm grateful to continue to share these messages each week on the radio show. And again, I encourage you to come and connect with me. If you're interested in connecting with me and joining our newsletter to stay informed with what's happening outside the radio show, you can visit heartledliving.com and join the newsletter and receive a free meditation, which I channeled, called Love Deeply Now. It's a scrumptious one. I often listen to it myself. I put myself in my ears and listen to the download as well, and it's quite a scrumptious meditation. So there's lots of support and lots of places you can go, whether it's me or whether you're guided to work with somebody else or find community. Heart-led Living community is there to support you, but there's a lot of different communities and tribes out there that are forming to join together and unite in love and have these conversations and break these barriers to love and to really take a look at what's happening in the world in a new perspective and see that it's actually good news. And as much as it's challenging to see and to witness, there is a role that each of us are meant to play, and that there is a shift that's happening. And it's a grand shift on such a deep level. It's the biggest shift of its kind. There's the biggest calling that's ever been present in our human existence. And it's a really exciting time to be alive. I'm excited to continue to share my messages with you each week and inspire you to stand up, stand out, and stand strong. The world needs you now more than ever. We need you to play your part, and you have a glorious part to play. I love you. I appreciate you. I see you. I honor you. Until next week, namaste.
You've been listening to Life by Divine with your host, Sue Dumais. Shift your consciousness from head to heart and enliven your soul as you discover how to lead with your heart and live your own life by divine. Join Sue in the growing global Heart-Led Living community at heartledliving.com. That is heart, L-E-D, living.com.